Okay, my name is Jürgen Steinmetz from eTurbo News and the Breaking News Show. We're back now, and we're actually going to go halfway across the world to Jakarta, Indonesia. And we welcome Alistair Spears, is that correct? And,
That's correct.
and he's the president of SCAL International in Jakarta. For those that don't know what SCAL is an organization actually 90 years old. We're going to have the 90th birthday in July, I believe, in Paris. And it's a global organization similar to what you probably would know from a Rotary Club, but for the travel and tourism industry, with members really across the world. And Alistair lives in Jakarta, Indonesia, and he's president of that SCAL club. And we're going to learn a little bit more about what SCAL is doing, what his club is doing, and what's going on in Indonesia. And also those who are familiar with eTurbo News and read our about statement, eTurbo News actually started in Jakarta, Indonesia. That's our initial home in 1999. We're the first travel newsletter in the world, and it all started in Indonesia. So I'm really excited to go back to Jakarta. I've been there many, many, many times, and I love Jakarta. It's a fantastic city. For those that have not been to Jakarta, really you should go. Not only a great shopping town, a lot of things to do. The social life is incredible. And you only like a very short flight, hour and a half, I believe, or 2 hours from Bali. So you can really combine it and learn something about Indonesia. And Alistair, you don't really look Indonesian. What are you doing in Jakarta?
Well, it's a long story, Jürgen, but I've been here for 42 years now, having started off in the insurance business, but I very quickly got into the communications business, both in publishing, advertising, and PR. So I've been here for 40 years through, I think, about 6 or 7 presidents by now. I'm not quite sure how many. They keep changing, and through quite a lot of developments. What you see behind me, of course, none of that existed when I came. It was pretty much a village 42 years ago, and now it is, as you just mentioned, a substantial and exciting city.
No, it is, and traffic. I remember when I was in Jakarta, traffic is horrendous. So you can never really plan more than one meeting a day because you don't know how long it takes to get to. Is it still the same, or did you guys improve this a little bit?
Well, it has improved a little. We have one underground line now. You know, it's a start. It's quite popular. It's rather well done. But we've got 20 kilometers, and we need about 200 to make it work. So we've got quite a long way to go. But we've got improved roads. We've got improved a little bit of improved access, but a long way to go.
Yeah, and for those that do go to Jakarta and plan on flying to Bali, and I've done this Bali-Jakarta route many, many times, especially on the weekend, we went back and forth. Don't plan on making your flight. My best advice is stay at the airport hotel a night before and fly in the morning, because I don't know how many last flights I missed to Bali. So but it's a fun city. Food is excellent. There's so many. I mean, you can find any food from anywhere in the world, and people are very friendly, and it's really a city I personally enjoyed a lot. But let's talk a little bit about SCAL. How many members you have in your SCAL club?
Well, you know, we used to have, before all of this decline in being able to attend anything, we had 80 members. Now we're just down to 20. But we're rebuilding at the moment. The people haven't been able to go to anything. So we've kept it going, and we've just kept the core group going. But over the last 3-4 months since the COVID regulations relaxed, we have built up again. In the last 3 dinners that we've had 40 people, roughly 40 people coming. So the spirit is back, the attendance is back, and we are moving forward again.
And if anyone wants to join us listening, I know we have a lot of readers still in Indonesia because of our history. They can just go to skal.org. And also, if you're not in Jakarta, anywhere in the world, and you don't have a SCAL club in your area, start one. And it's easy.
Absolutely.
Just contact SCAL. Just go to skal.org. You have all the information on it. And you can also see if there is a SCAL club in your region. It's a really good organization to belong to. It's fun. Skoll is also has young Skoll for those that are just starting the business. You can also join, and it's doing business among friends. That's what it is. And so it's definitely a good organization to belong to. And I think you have some exciting activities you told me earlier coming up in regards to the sustainable tourism world. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, you're absolutely right. You're going to look, when we talked about building back better, there's been a lot of talk about what actually has happened. Not quite enough. I know people have been distracted, their resources have been depleted, but what we need to do is to really focus people on things that can be done. So we've taken the initiative in Skoll Jakarta to work on the basic elements of sustainability. Now, 3 months ago, when we restarted, when we were allowed to have in-person meetings again, we started off in the Grand Melia Jakarta. We're supported very well by the 5-star hotels with a talk about water. Now, water is crucial to our business. And what we've done in Jakarta is that we've got one hotel, which is now fully integrated, 100% standalone bottling plant on site. And we talked about that. So there's no plastic whatsoever. There's no water deliveries, even in big containers. There's no transportation, no pollution, all done on site. We don't think there's anybody else, and certainly in Indonesia, who's doing that. And we wanted to bring that to the attention of the industry, that you can have a fully integrated water bottling recycling system in a standalone hotel, break even for that 400-room hotel, only 14 months, and saving 40,000 plastic bottles a year. And that was a message which everyone went, oh, we can actually do that. So that we started off with this really pretty cool, you can do it, and it makes money, and it makes sense message.
Tell us, I mean, we're not the BBC here, and but what's the name of the hotel? Because I think that alone might be a good story.
Oh well, it was the perfect hotel, frankly. It was the Mercure Convention Center in Ancol.
Okay.
Which of course is part of the Accor group, which gave us access to the rest of the 120 Accor hotels in Indonesia. And it belongs to a hotel owning group called Jakarta Setia Budi, who also happens to own Hyatt hotels across Indonesia and a bunch of apartments. So we got a double hit. And that just opened, about 2 months ago. Sorry, just on 2 months ago, when we had the talk, that was when it was just inaugurated. So it is very new. And now we're spreading this message to the entire business. If you can save 40,000 plastic bottles in one hotel, you multiply that by 1,000 hotels, you've suddenly got 40 million plastic bottles taken out of the system, and they save money at the same time. Quite a good scenario. So that was our first talk.
That's an amazing example, and I never heard anything like this before. So that's quite impressive.
Well, it is. It was all done by a Frenchman, Didier Perez, and his team. And we are absolutely intent on spreading this message throughout both Indonesia and the rest of the world. But going through the Accor group really should give it momentum. And we hope that they will pick this up and say, let's go, guys, because they've got a lot of hotels.
And Indonesia has a lot of hotels, not only the Accor group, you really have all the major Western hotels. You have a lot of beautiful local branded hotels, boutique hotels. There is a lot when it comes to accommodation. There are apartments and so forth. And of course, Indonesia needs the travel and tourism industry. Jakarta, of course, is more on the business side, but as I said, it's well worth visiting as a city. But there are other regions in Indonesia, like, of course, most famous Bali, that depends on tourism. There's Kalimantan, there is many regions of Java and West Java. There's a lot of things. So is tourism coming back? Is Indonesia opening up? How's the situation?
It is, but I'd like to pick you up on the point about Jakarta, Jürgen. One of our second talk, and that fits in perfectly, the second talk we did last month was on destination management for Jakarta. Now, Jakarta is, as you said, everyone thinks about it as a business city. And what we want is people to think about it as a destination. Why wouldn't you, if you go to Kowloon as a destination, why wouldn't you go to Jakarta? We've got everything that Kowloon has got and more. We've got culture and history. We've got fantastic golf. We've got spas. We've got great shopping. As you mentioned, fantastic restaurants. But everyone thinks about this as a business destination. No one books a holiday to come here. Literally no one. And that's very sad. And we want to change that mentality. We've got the Thousand Islands offshore, which is part of Jakarta.
Beautiful place. I've been there.
I mean, it's
we talked
just
about
don't promote it as a holiday destination. It's always business, business, convention, exhibition, business. We got to change that mindset.
No, I mean, I fully agree with you. And if we can help by any means, I told you before we started officially talking, I actually have a medal from the governor in Jakarta I received in 2000, in the year 2000, when eTurbo News, and a lot of people don't know this, actually, not eTurbo News, but my company, what later became eTurbo News, represented Indonesia as a tourism office in the United States and Canada. And that's the reason I spent so much time in Jakarta and also in Bali and in many other regions. And I have to say, I fall in love with Jakarta. It's definitely a place to visit. If you like cities, and I live in at that time, at least now I live in the city in Honolulu, but at that time I lived on the North Shore here on Oahu, what is just beautiful from scenery. But you really don't want to go to a beach city. So Bali, not Bali is attractive, but for me personally, the beaches were not a big deal. But I really enjoyed the city, and Jakarta has it all. It's really a place visiting, and it has everything you can think of to offer. And I don't think that has changed over the year. It looks like it even increased because there are new hotel openings, there are new activities, and you lived there for 40 years, so got to be worth it, right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, Jakarta has great advantages because you can get out of Jakarta up to the mountains only a couple of hours away as well. And then, of course, as you said, look, regional travel to Bandung, which is an extraordinarily great city as well. We've got Surabaya, which is industrial, but actually a great city to visit too. Then, of course, we have the gems of Jogja and Solo in central Java. I mean, marvelous places that are unique and beautiful and easily accessed.
Yeah, and Surabaya, if you ever go to Surabaya, get ready for spicy food. I remember this, they had the spicy chicken, what was wonderful because I love spicy food. And yes, there's so much going on in Bandung. I remember the road, and I stayed I forgot the name of the hotel, in a golf hotel. What was a wonderful weekend I spent there. And of course you have so many things in Java, and you can experience it. Jakarta could be kind of a hub, yeah, from where you can really go to anywhere. And yep. So yeah, Indonesia is actually a very big country, and if you fly from one end to another, it's like 6 hour flight. So it is not a small place. It's the largest Muslim population of any country in the world, but it's not only Muslims. You have Christians. Bali is dominant Hindu. It has so much diversity, and people are living peacefully together.
Very much so.
And that is really a big issue. And you see all these smiles. Everyone, especially in the travel and tourism industry, know really well how to make guests feel comfortable, and they love guests. And so it's definitely a good place to visit. So what's new in Jakarta? I mean, last time I was there, I have to say, was probably already 10 years ago. What happened in the last 10 years?
Well, in 10 years, so many things have happened. We've got lots of new hotel openings. I mean, a whole bunch of, look, Jakarta is a mall city, but how you make your malls is kind of an increasing art. We've got a great place called District 8, which includes the new Langham Hotel and a really cool dining shopping mall there as well. I mean, there's lots of fun things like that which are happening, which you walk around and go, is this Jakarta? It's cool and it's modern and it's fresh. Look, we've got a Park Hyatt coming up. We've got a new St. Regis coming up. The hotels here, while they've been suffering, have never let their standards down. Everything is open again. As you said, the food here is wonderful. There's a great variety of food. But a quick aside back to Bali, if I may, Jürgen. Bali has suffered really disproportionately. It's been a closed island for the last 2 years, so they're struggling to get back. According to my team in Bali, speaking to them this morning, saying Bali is busy today. Now, but it's busy because this is the end of Ramadan, and Jakarta, Surabaya, Bandung are all in Bali. Next week, we'll see who is coming back to Bali now that the doors are open. Chinese aren't coming back yet, obviously. Japanese, not really either. We've got Australia open, but according to the last information I had, I mean, Jetstar, which had 73 flights a week, started with 3. So we're not really up. 3 compared to 73 is not a good figure. 3 flights a week.
Yeah, and then of course there are some other challenges with Europe, of course, because of the situation in Ukraine. That might, even though, I mean, Bali is far away from the Ukraine situation, but flights are restricted to some areas, what could have an influence. There's still
the good thing is the Middle Eastern airlines are now coming back. Qatar, Emirates, Etihad, and Turkish are all flying back into Jakarta and increasingly back into Bali as well, Singapore Airlines as well. So the access, don't worry about access, you can get there. And they're ready for you. And you were talking about friendliness. The Balinese are ready to be friendly. They are more than ready to be friendly. You will be pampered, you'll be looked after, you'll be worshipped if you come now.
Yeah, and the price, if you really compare rates, and maybe you can help us out a little bit, what the average hotel stay is, what the average dinner bill is for a nice dinner in Indonesia, maybe Jakarta compared to Bali. Give us some ideas. How expensive or how cheap is it to travel to Indonesia?
Look, first of all, hotel prices in Indonesia have always been too low. I mean, Jakarta is about 1/3 of the price of Singapore for a hotel, equivalent hotel. So you're only talking about, $100 a night in a 5-star hotel, possibly even less in some, which is sad, and it's worth much more. The same thing in Bali. Prices are, look, you can get some 4-star hotels for like $50 US a night, and we need to bring that up again. But of course, they're starting low. But on the food side, if you avoid the really expensive restaurants, you can eat for $15-20 US a head, including a couple of drinks. It is not expensive. We're talking about having a great night out and going home with still change jingling in your pockets, ready for the next day. It's a really great time to come.
You're telling me for the price of 1 Mai Tai or a drink here in Hawaii, you can have an entire dinner and you can have actually 2 Mai Tais and wonderful food for the same price.
Yes, correct.
That's the place to go.
That's the place to go. And of course, what we're doing is encouraging people to drink the local beer, drink the local wine. We have good wine in Bali now. And then you're supporting the local industries and still having a good time. So a lot of positive points have come out of this as well. The whole local supply chain thing had to kick in, and it did. So we've got good vegetables, good supplies, good cheese even made locally now to save the international supply chains.
That is important, really for any destination, and specifically so for Indonesia, because Indonesia has spices you probably don't find very easy in other parts of the world. There's wonderful local food. Many people don't really know, but it's delicious. And not only when it comes to food, when it comes to wellness, Indonesia has a lot to offer. I mean, we're not talking just about spas and massage. We're talking about health tourism, for example. Tell us a little bit more about this, because I think many people don't even think about that.
Look, there is a history of natural treatments here. whether they be spiritual or meditation based. You want to go to Ubud in Bali. It's probably the Asia center of meditation, wellness, and all of that. So you can do virtually any treatment you can think of, everything from the Reiki all the way through the local spiritual leaders. And of course, just being there, visiting the temples, walking the fields is a health treatment as well. So honestly, Bali has got all of that side of the business. And often it's not business, it's just being in the right place with the right feeling, Jürgen. When you walk somewhere and go, I'm so glad I'm here. My managing editor in Bali just done a tour of the Northeast, and he sent me pictures and videos of what he's been doing. And he's saying, this is untouched, undisturbed, beautiful, palaces with no one in them, water gardens with nobody there, beaches and mountains, and just extraordinary peace and tranquility. So it's not just the beach club scene in the south. It's not just the culture scene in Ubud. It's the enormous nature-bound tourism you get in the north and the northeast of Bali, northwest as well. So a lot of things to be talked about there, and certainly the right time to come.
Yeah, and of course, every day is a holiday because there's a festival in Bali, I believe, every single day. So you find ceremonies, you find it's very traditional. And
it's a little bit frustrating for those of us in business in Bali, because you end up with saying, no, where is everybody? Ah, they're at the temple today, sorry, but so we do have to understand that the pros come a few cons as well. But yes, and that's, your Instagram killer is the ceremonies and the processions, and you're just round a corner somewhere and there's a whole bunch of people all dressed up, standing, doing something which you may not understand, but you go, I'm here, this is wonderful. You've seen it, I know.
And there's one holiday or one season, it's the days of silence. Everyone agrees on. And if you should watch out when this is, because if you don't want to be isolated, you better not come. But it's also it's an experience. Basically, it's in Bali, and you really cannot do anything. Everything is pretty much closed, and no one talks. And how does this work? That's a wonderful experience.
It works in a very, very sensible way. Bali is a world of the seen and the unseen. So the unseen are the gods which surround us all the time. Now, on this the special day, the day of silence, Nyepi is called. The night before, there are parades around each town which drive away the evil spirits, and then silence and darkness falls and everyone stays indoors. So the spirits think there's no one there and they all leave because they don't see anybody, they can't hear anybody. So during that night, everybody is at peace. But actually now people are booking to go to Bali on Nyepi because it is such a wonderful experience to go somewhere which closes down and says, you can do nothing. Think about your life, think about yourself, sit down, relax, you've nowhere to go.
Yeah,
that's a great.
If you go over to Lombok, what is an island, it's not too far away from Bali. Many people combine it. You're in a completely different world. It's like really, you're on a different planet almost, when you come visit Lombok for a few days. Is this still a popular place? I remember I stayed at the, what was the hotel? Oberoi in Lombok, and it was wonderful. 3 days just to really get away from everything. How's Lombok doing these days?
Well, Lombok has had a major investment in the south, in an area called Mandalika, where the Ministry of Tourism and the Lombok government decided to create a MotoGP track. Now, I don't think personally that that's the right thing to do there, because it's the world's noisiest sport in the world's quietest resort, but they put in like a $300 million investment to bring the world's motorcycle enthusiasts there. And they've already had one successful MotoGP. So they have brought in investment to change the paradigm of tourism in Lombok. The the northwest where you were, Oberoi, Tugu, are opposite the Gili Islands. The Gili Islands were the real party islands surrounded by beautiful, tranquil waters. And they have really fallen on bad times over the last 2 years. They've really had nobody there. They're beginning to pick up. Now I hear that there is movement, but of course it needs Bali to be 50% full for the Gillies to be 20% full. So until Bali gets to 80, 90%, we're going to still see quite poor occupancy in the tourism areas of Lombok. So we do need to support them. So if you're looking for a peaceful, quiet, and very, very inexpensive holiday, Lombok is an even better bet because they need people to go there now.
Then you have areas in Indonesia that are so unique. You can only find it in Indonesia, like Komodos and the dragon, right? How is this developing? I was there probably also eight some years ago, and I know they had a lot of plans for tourism. Did any of this materialize?
Well, absolutely. Look, the Ministry of Tourism put in place what they first called the 10 new Balis and now have revised to the 10 priority destinations. Then they focused it down to 5. And those 5 destinations, one of which is Komodo, and also further afield in Papua, they've the Raja Ampat, the Four Kings area for diving. So those are 2 of the expanded areas of priority. And certainly Komodo has got a lot of attention, but there is always this concern over how much infrastructure you put into a natural place, how many tourists you send to a natural place. So they're trying to find the balance at the moment. They've been helped by Swiss Contact, a Swiss NGO who's been doing the sustainability planning for some of these places. So the Ministry of Tourism has brought in experts to help them get that balance right. But it's always, entrepreneurs want to be where the next place is. So there's been quite a lot of building in the area around Komodo, which we just have to be a little bit careful not to take it too fast. Because in the end, we come back to the things I was talking about earlier: water, waste, and energy. If we can't get those right, we better not develop too quickly. Because waste, how do you get rid of waste in Komodo? Big problem. Even in Lombok, it's a big problem that it hasn't been developed enough to take care of mass tourism.
And mass tourism is it's not about the numbers. It's more what type of tourism you really want, and this needs to be channeled. I mean, we do the same thing here in Hawaii. We had major problems with mass tourism now because of the price structures and protection laws and so forth. Things are getting a little bit better than, of course, COVID. And that part helped a lot because tourism went down to nothing. So everyone is starting over. But Indonesia, as you can hear, has so many opportunities. And I think we should talk again sometimes soon, talk about Kalimantan, for example, talk about Medan with some fishing. And I mean, you cannot, Indonesia has it all. And Jakarta is the ultimate city in Indonesia to visit. So it's definitely a place to start out, and has, of course, Jakarta as the capital city is very accessible from anywhere in the world with almost any major carriers. Yes, and coming from Europe or from Africa or the Middle East, no issue. You have Etihad, you have Qatar Airways, you have Emirates, you have Saudia and Turkish Airlines coming in. From the US mainland, of course, you can take Singapore Airlines, you can take EVA, you can take ANA, Japan Airlines, China Airlines, Air China. All of them are flying, can take you to Indonesia. Unfortunately, Garuda no longer flies to the US, so I hope they're going to look at this market again, because I remember in the time when I worked with Indonesia, there was a direct flight and there was a nonstop flight here from Honolulu to Bali, what was wonderful. We're kind of neighbors. And that, of course, this hasn't been the case for more than 20 years. So hopefully also the United States is an interesting market. And our friends in Indonesia will support this. And I think there are opportunities in the world. And
Jürgen, before we close out, I just want to make one quick point, if I may, coming back to Skoll. My next event in Skoll Jakarta, International Jakarta, we have as a speaker a guy called Simon Pestridge. Now, Simon is the CEO of the Potato Head Group, which you may have heard of. Potato Head, it's a very funny name for, first of all, a restaurant, then a nightclub, then a series of hotels. And the Potato Head Suites, which are in Seminyak in Bali, are probably the most sustainable, purpose-built, sustainable residential units certainly in Indonesia, maybe more than that. Brilliantly conceived from everything from recycled, built-in recycled materials to reused materials and everything. So I'm now bringing Simon to speak to the hotels of Jakarta, who can't start from zero, but they can at least join in where they can on the sustainability spectrum. And so we're trying to bring experts in to inspire and very specifically say, not only can it be done, I've done it, listen to me, follow me, use us as a model. So that's the next message that we've got. We're going to keep this up all year. I've got Steve Piro coming to speak about energy and how hotels can save up to 40% of their energy. We've got Waste for Change and local NGO talking about how hotels can be down to 5% waste to landfill. All of this stuff is possible, and we're using Skoll as the platform to bring all of these messages to our tourism industry. And I greatly appreciate the opportunity to tell you and your viewers that we may be a backwater over here in Jakarta, but we're going for it.
No, and I hope you can share this. I mean, why not tape such an event or even contact us for a live stream? We can help you to live stream it and then repeat it, because you're putting a lot of effort in bringing these excellent speakers to your event, to a club of 18. Why not bring it to a club of 1 million, some people possibly?
Absolutely, that would be fantastic. We'd greatly appreciate that.
No, but I really enjoyed our conversation. You can tell that we're way over time. Our 10 minutes are almost 45 minutes, but I don't mind at all, because we really would love to have you back and talk more about Jakarta and Indonesia, one of my favorite places in the world. And I spent several years basically commuting between the United States, or Hawaii better, and Indonesia. And I've seen a lot in Indonesia, and I really miss it. It's kind of my second former home. And so we like to report more, because Indonesia is coming back, and it's a destination that's just simply fascinating, and it deserves a lot more time, not only with us, with everyone else. And we really hope that tourism is picking up. And I remember Indonesia went through ups and downs, but it always recovered. It's very resilient. And we don't really want to repeat all the problems there were, but like any destination, Indonesia has a good share and always was able to recover. So let's bring COVID behind us, and hopefully the world can be at peace, and Indonesia can be one of the top destinations in the world again for people to visit. And I say I really honestly enjoyed it talking to you, and terima kasih, and thank you so much. And I know we talked about some common friends. Give my regards, and
I will.
We see
Thank
you again soon. And again,
thank you very much, Jürgen. Good luck to you and everybody. And Indonesia is open. Come back and see us.
Absolutely. And if anyone wants to know more about Skoll, just go to skoll.org. Skoll is spelled SKAL.org, and you also see it here on the screen. And you find, actually, you have a permanent Skoll logo on eTurbo News. Just click on it. It will bring you to the Skoll website. So why not start your own club and get as active as Alistair is in your own region? It's a wonderful organization to belong to and to network and do business among friends. That's what it is. We all are in business, and why not do business with those people you can trust and share also your virtual social life with. And the nice thing about Skull also is, I forgot to mention this, when you visit another city, when you travel, and there's a Skull Club, and there's a good chance there is, you can actually be part of the Skull Club, even if it's
Absolutely.
for a week. You can be a guest there. Everyone is welcome to attend any Skull meeting in the world, and you make new friends this way. So skull.org, the way to go. But I'd say thank you so much again for joining us. And for everyone else, if you wanted to watch this session again, if you see us on eTurbo News, we'll most likely repeat it. Usually our repeats are every 2 hours, just stay tuned. And then if we don't repeat it, go to breakingnewsshow.com or to eTurbo News on events, and you can, or of course you can go to our YouTube channel or Vimeo channel, and you find us and you find all our sessions. You can watch as many times as you like, and share it on Facebook, share it on LinkedIn, share it on Twitter. So a lot more people can learn about Jakarta and Indonesia today. Thank you so much.
Thank you and goodbye for now.